are recording. Greetings and welcome everyone to the Covenant Calendar Club. We're so glad that you're here. And those of you that are on YouTube, we pray that you too will be richly blessed by the words of Yahuwah as they come out of the mouth of our instructor. But before we get started, we'd like to give a big shout out to you and let you know how much we appreciate you being here. Shall we, everyone?
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Yahushua HaMashiach.
Shalom. So glad you're here. And if you're interested in joining us in the topic is, or in the discussions after the teaching, go to studythecalendar.com and where you can log in there and sign up to join us after the teaching. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and turn the screen over to Tim and Charlene.
Thank you, Mario. Appreciate it. Appreciate all that you do for us.
We appreciate you. Here you go.
I have a praise report right off the bat, and it's an exciting one. I can now prove 100% that Yahusha died in the year AD 31, and I can prove 100% right from AD 20 through AD 29 through AD 30, and I can prove that that when he went up into the middle of the feast in AD 30, he went up into the middle, and the next day was the seventh day Sabbath. He went up into the middle of the feast so he could observe the seventh day Sabbath. And then the day after that was trumpets on covenant calendar. 2 days after that was the last great day of the Jewish festival. And I can prove this. I can also prove that as of about 15 minutes ago, to be very honest with you, I solidified it. It was in AD 30, it was the 13th month that switched over at the Tekufa for AD 31 when he died. Now, I don't know the full scope of this yet, what it's going to mean, but I can prove that it was the 13th month. I've got it all lined up. Everything lines out. The Tekufas work out properly. Everything works out just beautiful. Put in with the phases of the moon, everything works out just like that. Praise Yahuwah, we got it. We got it. Covenant calendar, people. This is the beauty of covenant calendar. You can go back and you can look, and it's accurate. It's precise. And it's just,
so,
can you tell I'm excited?
So it was in 31, not 30?
That is correct. And I'll tell you the mistake I was doing before. We were going by the Tekufa, and we see the charts, and it had the charts there for Tekufa in AD 30. But it's just a simple little thing. We didn't realize that the Tekufa in AD 30 changed it to 31. And when I laid everything out for the year of 30, and then I took it back to 28 or 29, 28, and 27, I was always 1 or 2 days out, depending on what year I was at. I couldn't figure out, why am I out? Just about a couple days. So then I sat there and I stared at it and stared at it and stared at it and realized the Tekufa in the year 30 changes it to 31.
Yeah.
And then Yahusha didn't have to be born in before or 1 BC or whatever people want to say. No, that's not the way at all. It makes perfect sense. Covenant calendar, woo!
Are you going to share a visual on this at some point?
At some point, but I got a lot of work to lay it all out. But then we got an awful lot of work ahead of that, because Charlene says we got to put our nose down and bum up, because we're going to be digging in for the 70 weeks, and that's going to take some time.
Join the meeting.
But at least we have the foundation, and we were told there was a feast group a little while ago when we were going back and forth about the feasts and the dates and the moon and all that stuff. They told us that we have no business whatsoever teaching about calendar when we didn't know the true crucifixion year. Well, let me tell you, I can prove it forwards and backwards, upside down and across and in and out. We got her. Woo!
Praise Yahuwah. I'd like to give a special shout out or a thanks or whatever. Thank you, Mark, for your prayers, and Danon and Charlene and just everybody for those. I just called some of the ones that were on my phone. So, but I do want to thank everyone. Yeah. You guys are ready to get started. I mean,
Hey, Mario.
yes, sir.
I love you, brother.
I love you too.
I know you've been through a lot, and I love you, man. I see that Italian sweetness in you. I see it right now in your eyes.
Well, you know, Yahuwah's going to be giving me more.
All right.
And when I say more, I mean more on both sides. The more the enemy tries to knock you down, the closer you get to Yahuwah. And it's like, wow, this is great. This is great. Thank you for this pain. Thank you for whatever. I mean, in all things, give thanks, right? And it's just sometimes you forget to do that. And then you have to repent for not giving thanks. So it's all good, man. Praise God. Tim, did you want your email address as your name?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Okay, well, I'm sorry I think I missed out on your prayer because I came in a little bit late. I guess I did I?
No, I'm glad you said that because I don't think
we haven't. Yeah, someone's got to pray yet. They don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to pray. But if anybody volunteered, we would really appreciate it.
Sure.
You know me, I'll do it. Eric will do it. Me and Eric will do it.
And thank you, Eric. Thank you for those encouraging words on my phone and the song and the timing was like perfect. I mean, praise Yah, praise Yahuwah. All right, I'll be quiet.
Eric, your
Eric,
phone,
we need
your
you
mic
to
needs
open
to be
your
on.
mic.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
We just give you praise, Abba Yahweh, to this night, and for all of us who are gathering together. We just give you praise, and we just worship you for what you've done for Mario. We thank you for getting him back to normal, and we thank you for all that you've done for him. And we just give you praise, and thank you for hearing our prayers, and thank you for guiding and directing our very steps through this whole feast time. And now we're counting the Omer. It's day 6, and we're going strong to Shavuot. And we just thank you, Father, for covenant calendar. And I'm excited about what Tim has discovered. And I pray, Father, that you would give Tim and Charlene everything they need. And I pray that you would give them strength to endure getting these teachings done in your timing. And we just thank you and give you praise. And just give us ears to hear and eyes to see what your word says and what your calendar expresses. And we thank you for part 2 tonight of what we're going to learn about Charlene and Tim and how this whole thing came together. So we give you all the praise because we know it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for you bringing everybody together that needs to be here tonight. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen. You don't have your mic on, Tim. Tim?
See, I do it too, Eric. Do you know what I like best about part 2? It's not all about Tim and Charlene. It's about everybody else. That's what's best about it. And I look forward to it.
Mm.
Oh, let's take
So
it.
you've already done your greeting. Just tell me when you want me to open up the PowerPoint.
Let's take it away.
Okay, I will in a minute because I have a couple of things to say. First of all is that everyone is really, really hard to put 10 years of a journey into a couple of hours. We've had to choose just the high points is all. But the last part, of course, like Tim said, we want to show how this journey is now including many other people. I'm sure they've all been handpicked by Yahuwah. So it's going to be fun to have some extra participation tonight. I had quite a few people confirm with me that they're going to be here. So if they don't pop in when I call them, then I guess they're not here. I just also wanted to say that some people have related to me that they really enjoyed part 1 of the journey, and we're really happy about that. But others have said, you know what, I was on a different journey, and I remember when you said 2012, I remember exactly where I was and what was happening to me. And then when you said, 2013, I remembered what was happening to me. And so as we go through this last part today, I just want you to just kind of think back. Where were you? Can you remember what you were doing on those months and those years? You might have something to share with us. There's also going to be tonight, at this point, turning points. I think we have 16 huge turning points for covenant calendar. I picked the 16 top ones, okay? So we're going to do just a little tiny bit of a review of just 2 or 3 slides, and then we're going to pick up and finish part 2 where we left off last week with the Sabbath group. But turning point number 17, I think we might know what it's going to be, but we'll wait and see and leave that as a surprise. I would like to have some audience participation. After we get all done. I would like to have a few people ready to say what their journey has been and what they've loved about Covenant Calendar. Maybe just 30 or 45 or 60 seconds, just something to say what you have appreciated about this study. So with that, I think we're ready to go. We'll just save all the comments in the chat for afterwards, and everybody can mute their mics except for Tim. And I think then we are going to be ready as soon as I move a few things off the screen here. We have a really nice group with us tonight. Let's see, we're waiting for the internet to respond. Okay. So Tim and I are going to be sharing a lot of these slides tonight. We'll be taking turns, and yeah, we're just going to try to fill in the blanks as best as we can here. Oh, sorry, we need to fix these pictures so we can see our screen. Anyway, this is part 2 of the journey of Yahuwah's covenant calendar. And I just want you all to kind of just take a peek at this title slide here. This is still a raw working document. We're hoping to have it finished maybe this week. We have an artist working on it for us, and they're doing a fantastic job. But we all know that this is a restoration of an end-time truth from Torah. And we're going to finish part 2 of a little bit of what's happened here in the second half of this journey. And it started in March of, or no, it was February of 2010. So I'll start out, and Tim's going to be following right along. Just a little bit of a review. I think we have 2 slides or something like that. But anyway, our Dawn Day journey began in February 2010. That was for Richard and myself. And we got that DVD in the mail of 90 minutes long, and you all know that it took us 5.5 hours to get through to it. We couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. It all looked good, but it just didn't seem like you could just trash Sunset just like that. But then eventually Tim joined and looked at the study in 2010, so he's going to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I received some DVDs from Charlene, and I looked at them, and it had Lunar Sabbath on it, and in the garbage they went. It was pretty well that simple. I wanted nothing to do with them, period, because I had worked with the Lunar Sabbath before, and I knew what it was, and I know what it still is. So a few months later, or no, couple months later, Charlene calls me, looked at those DVDs? Nope, You got to look at those? Nope. And then she says, Tim, you have to look at them. I finally admitted I threw them in the garbage. And she says, well, I'm going to send you another one. So she sent me the CD that she wanted me to look at. And it sat on my desk for a couple of weeks. And Tim, have you looked at that? No. She says, Tim, you got to look at that. Yeah, okay. One Sabbath, I finished my studies. And okay, well, just to appease her, keep her happy, and I'll look at it and throw it in the garbage. Well, it took me 5 hours to get through the one DVD that she sent me. And from that day on, my life changed big time, because I had no idea what I saw, but I did know what I saw. Or, I knew there was something there, and I was convicted that very day, to be honest with you. I was convicted on Dawn Day, and that's where it started.
Yes, Tim was convicted right away and he switched over, but Richard and I did not switch over. It took us 21 months before we actually said, this is ridiculous, keeping Sabbath from Friday sunset to Sunday morning. And I kind of think, Tim, that a little bit of that was because my parents were still alive, and I still have my dad today. But my parents, my mom, gave us so much resistance, and we just didn't want to see her hurt. That was very difficult. But Tim had lost his parents by this point in time. So you know how it is when you want to honor your parents, and they just say, Charlene, you got scolded, and it's like you feel like you're 5 years old again. But anyways, we got all the way through that. And I think it was Day of Atonement in 2011 when Richard and I made the decision that, we had to get back onto Dawn Day. The sunset thing was just messing us all up. We traveled through to 2013. We had done quite a bit of light studies. Tim had done mostly of it, but it was about spring 2013. We had quite a few of Dawn Day studies done. I'm going to say maybe 7 or 8 from the Old Testament. And it turned out that we had a controlled reading group that wanted to join in the studies and proofread with us. We were not going to allow these to go out on the internet in case there was something wrong with them. And we shared those studies with this reading group, and there was about 40 to 42 people, and I kept very close track of who was getting what studies. They got them in order. They did not get to go to the next study until they did the one before. And we just wanted to make sure that there was no mistakes, check out the scriptures, just check out everything. And it was about 12 to 15 months later, they were just begging us, please let us share. There was a lot of people that wanted to see the studies, and we said they could join the controlled reading group, but they could not share them by email. And a lot of them went out in the mail. But it was around 18 months later that we actually said, yes, we're comfortable. We know that we're on the right track. We just plain could not take the risk to have these studies go around the world in 10 seconds if there was mistakes in them. We just didn't know how to retract those errors. It was also in the spring of 2013 that I shared this with Walter Shopey. I don't know if he's here tonight, but definitely he said, I am taking this to the Passover group in Germany that I'm going over to teach. And that was about a month away. And so he took the studies to Germany, and they did not like that very much. They were not happy with him one little bit. But it was it was December 25, that very same year, where he called me and he said, you know what, Charlene, my group just received a 60-page paper. It was from a Russian man that had been studying, and he had put this study into German, and somehow he had email addresses for this study group of Walter's, and they were delighted to have a study paper in German that they could read, and they were totally on board. There's more information coming up about what was happening in Germany after that, but it was about the same time that we were finding Deuteronomy 4 and chapter 17, where Moses said that, you're not to look to the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, or any of the heavenly hosts, lest you worship and serve them. Well, we said, okay, we know we're not supposed to look to the sunset. We're supposed to just look to the light in the morning. So that was all okay. But that moon, we were still keeping the moon month at that point in time. We were raised that way. We were taught that way from our feast teachers, mine from 2006, and same with Tim a little bit later on. And we just couldn't figure out, like, that just didn't make sense. So that's kind of where questions came in about the moon around the spring of 2013. And eventually we began to question our feast teachers. Here within the next year or so, we began to think, why do our feast teachers not have this right? And we actually tried to share some with some of them, I believe, and that didn't turn out too good, did it, Tim?
No,
So
that
Tim's
was
going to continue
disastrous.
on.
That was disastrous trying to show other people about this. I thought everybody was going to take it and just run with it, and everybody was going to be my best friend and everything was happily ever after. Well, it was pretty well the opposite of that, let me tell you. I got shut down pretty hard. But that's the way it is, you know. Their ears weren't ready. There is an elderly couple that had high opposition to me, and I had great respect for this couple. They were in high opposition to me. 2 years later.
Oh, that's coming, Tim. That's on the next slide.
Oh, okay. Then I'll leave that one. Okay.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything about the year start? Because when we were questioning the moon and the month, we knew that if the moon didn't start the month, then we were really at a loss, right, of how does the year start. Do you remember that, Tim?
Yeah. We didn't know what to do. How come? Why? Where? We were kind of searching frantically there for a while.
Yeah, and the thing was that we thought we were doing a dawn day study. We thought we were doing a day start study, and that was all that we were going to do. We were going to figure out when the day began, and then we were going to say, okay, we'll get on with life. And I had a lot of projects on my back burner, and you know, Yahuwah, he's so gentle, and he just marks everything at perfect timing. He kind of questioned us with that moon, and then we knew, well, if we have to question the moon month, then we got to question this year start. And he just kind of slipped us into a full calendar study, and both of us knew that this was not what we wanted to do. And I knew for sure that I didn't have the brains for this study. I've seen arguments up the gum stump. I just said, this is not for me. I'm not going to be part of this. But you know what? Yahuwah had some different plans, and he just kind of snuck it in there on us, which was, when you look back, is kind of neat. But into 2014, I ended up having to be away for a full year. Well, my mother took ill, and as I look back now, she came down with leukemia right at the time, about 2013 in the spring is probably when this all began, when we were looking at the moon. And if you know anything about the moon and lunar and lunation and Luke, you know, and how it's all linked to Lucifer and Luciferian worship, well, my mother came down with leukemia, and it was just a shock because she's never been sick a day in her life, basically. And I lost Mom. But now that I look back, I really do believe that the enemy was trying to stop the studies, because he knows what's going on too. But Tim, can you tell us something about that discovery that's under those keys?
Well, the one thing that was nice to have is when the adversary tried to pull you away from the studies, Yahuwah provided somebody else to help with the studies. He says, if you're gone, I got somebody else for you. Enter Sue. Sue is on this panel tonight. Mm-hmm. Sue came in there, and she grabbed a study, and she says, I'm going to prove this wrong. Then she got another study. She was going to prove it wrong too. And then after a few studies, she says, do you need some help? I says, absolutely. And so Sue worked hand in hand with me for quite a long time. Sue's been an incredible help, and I really appreciate everything that she has done. And we did discover Erev, the key to understanding day start. We now understand that the word Erev, which is evening twilight mixture, that mixture is key to understanding the year, understanding the month, understanding the feasts, understanding the days, the Sabbaths, the feasts. It's key to everything. It's that's why it comes right in Genesis 1 there, and it's very, very clear what it means. So that was a pretty good discovery. We needed that pretty bad.
Absolutely. So here you go, Tim, with your favorite story.
Some dawn day inroads in 2014. Received an encouraging message from an elderly couple. Yes, this was that couple that had high opposition to me and were very vocal against me in the feast-keeping group. And 2 years later, they sent me a message that they had embraced dawn. 2 years later, I still have that message. And yes, that was in 2014. And I am thrilled that they did, because they were an elderly couple. They still are. And I have great respect for them. Good people. And Brad Scott, Wild Branch Ministries. I was very, very blessed to spend about 5 or 6 hours with him once in a living room of a house there, and we were studying and talking and just going through dawn studies. And he asked me if I had any that he could take with me or with him. Well, yes, I did. I had a stack of them in my car, quite literally. And he was a little taken back when I walked in with a stack. It was big, but he took them. He did, when he was teaching at our feast, and we were talking with him and questioning him and that, he did say that he personally believed that the day started at dawn. He says everything that he did, he would take back to nature. Every teaching, he says, must go back to nature. And he says, when does the day start in nature? He says, early in the morning. He says, when the first light starts up. However, I never did know him to preach it or teach it in his groups. I don't understand why. I'm a little sad about that. We need to keep Brad Scott in our prayers. He has a situation, a bad one, a serious one. And so we could lift him up in prayers. That would be absolutely fabulous. I would appreciate that.
Yes, a health one. And the thing is, do you remember, Tim, that at that Sukkot, Brad only was with us 2 days. That's all he could spend with us. He had other places to go. But we were so impressed at the end of that 2016 Sukkot that we needed to have a voice for calendar. We didn't know at that point in time exactly how that was going to happen, but we gathered around in a circle of about 12 or 15 people, and we prayed and we asked Yahuwah for a voice for calendar. And we're going to tell you about that in a little bit. But anyway, there were some interesting dawn day inroads in 2015 as well. It was in August of 2015 that we were invited to speak on a kind of a Zoom platform like we're doing right now with somebody in the United States that has had a following of about 30 or 35 people or something like that. And I had taken a whole year to arrange this. And finally, we were given some speaking slots in July, August. I think it was actually August of 2015. And in that panel, there was a lady that heard that meeting, and her name is Tertia. She's from South Africa, and that's how we met her. But anyway, we didn't get too far. We had 8 lessons planned. We only gave 3, and then we were cut off at the kneecaps because the boss, the one that was moderating everything, he saw where this was going, and he was not going to have his little flock going down the dawn day path, so we kind of got cut off. But there was a lot of fruit with that, because we connected with Tertia and her family in Africa, and come to find out they had found the dawn day just 1 month before. I don't even know that whole story of how that happened, but they were so happy. That was in 2015. We have heard here just in about the last 6 months that with the sharing that they have done there, there's another man, Eston. Don't ask me how to say his last name. I do believe that Tim knows him from Calgary. He's in South Africa now, and he has shared the dawn day with over 100 people there in South Africa, and they're looking at Covenant Calendar now. They were just like so happy. But anyway, that summer of 2015 began a whole chain of events that are a huge turning point for calendar. And like I said, we only got to share for 3 weeks, and I don't know if any harvest that has come out of that, but there's a lot of other things that happened. So what was the divine plan of Yahuwah? Well, he knew what he was doing. He was moving forward, and he was going to give us more keys for a full calendar study. We didn't have any idea of what was coming, but he knew, and he just slips it in there so gently. So that's kind of the end of part one. You know, we spent about 2 hours doing that the last time. And I just want
Charlene?
to tell you that, yes.
I just want to share a little bit about that feast with Brad Scott there. This was the first one, and when we got there, I forgot all about having a podium to put our books and stuff on. And we were searching around, couldn't figure out what to do, so we put a few cardboard boxes together, found an old board, threw across the box, and that's where we put our Bibles and our study sources. And I remember Brad looking at that, just chuckling, and he loved it. He just loved it because it's the base foundation. He says, this is the roots. He said he loved it.
Yes, because Brad was speaking at, you know, Michael Rood, Monty Judas, and, you know, all these great big well-known world speakers, you know, and he did. He just loved we had about 35 people, and he just loved it. He said, if I could get my wife up here tomorrow, we would cancel all those other feasts and we would stay here. We had a wonderful time with him. Yes, do pray for him. He has some serious health issues right now. But we were discovering some old paths, and we had no idea what we were in for. We did not know there was going to be future challenges, and we did not know what was coming for a calendar study team. So anyway, we're just going to kind of bump up into part 2 right now, and I'm going to let Tim take this off for a couple of slides here.
Part 2, we'll see what happened during the summer of 2015. Did the enemy plan to toast my computer that day with lightning to stop calendar studies? Absolutely. That's exactly what he wanted to do. I was living in a trailer, and there was lightning bolts hitting around me like you would not believe. Well, I'm sure you do, especially the people who live in the south, because they have crazy lightning storms. And this one cooked my computer and everything in it. They were able to repair a bit of it, and I did get some of it back. There was nothing left of the files. It was like someone took it and threw it up in the air like a bowl of popcorn, and down it come, and that's what was left of it. What turned up, though, is at that point, I had been searching for some more material on the internet, and I could not find it, what I was looking for. It was about the moon, and I was looking for a very specific material. When I did get my computer back, what was left of it, there right up front, staring me in the face, saying, open me please, were 2 studies that I had saved on my computer that I did not even know that I had. And Yahuwah needed to cook my computer to wake me up, and he provided them there. And away we went with the studies. It was absolutely incredible. Yahuwah's plan was to move his message to the next huge step. It was a turning point, and it was time to investigate if the moon is in charge of Yahuwah's month. It seemed like an unfortunate event to lose everything in a moment. However, once the computer was repaired, there was, I was told this, there were 2 files that were addressing the moon month. We got that, and we were on our way. It was absolutely fabulous. I remember being very excited and telling Charlene, and she told Dana, and hey, look at this, let's go. So that was good. We were on our way with that.
Yes, absolutely. And it took another whole year to get the moon studies up and going. But anyway, we'll get to that. So what happened next, Tim?
Yes, this was an interesting one. Sukkot 2015. We were just eager as could be. We had materials with us, and we were just wanting to go to the feast camp. We were gung-ho. But there was a lunar Sabbath man who lived 3,000 miles away that said that we were not allowed to go to this camp. How that works, I have no idea. But somehow his authority from 3,000 miles away, having never talked to me, didn't know who I was or anything, he had the authority to block me from that camp 3,000 miles away, or close. Anyhow, we were blocked from going to the camp, both Charlene and I, and by association, Charlene was blocked too because they accused her of trying to open the door so that she could squeeze me in. And it was nothing farther from the truth. We weren't even planning to go together. Like, it was just, just what had happened. So that was actually a very good thing when we got blocked from going to that camp. Did it hurt? Yes. However, it was a very good thing because it instigated us. It gave us a kick in the bum. You see that shoe there. And it was time to have our own feast, time to have a dawn day feast camp. We had been just aching for this. And that was the kick in the rear end to get us going. Thank you, Yahuwah. Sometimes we all
Yeah.
need a swift boot.
Exactly. And I remember Tim calling me up and saying, Charlene, we got to do something. We're just not welcome at the feast camps. They're afraid we're going to say anything about sunset and convert people or whatever. It's just not working. And he said, I think we need to do our own Passover somewhere, somehow. And he said, do you think we could find 8 people to come? And I said, I'm pretty sure we could find 8 between you and Richard and me. There's already 3 and your sister is 4, so I think we could find 8. Well, we had about 30 to 35, and actually some of these people that came to our feast camp were ones that refused to go to the 2015 Sukkot, because when they heard that we were kicked out, they wouldn't go either. We had a wonderful 2016 Passover.
Yeah.
Then turning point number 3. That came September 26, 2015. It was Yom Kippur, and it was a discovery of another feast ministry with a calendar. But this calendar, guess what? It didn't have a sunset day start, and it had no moon month. I remember when Tim called me up and he said, Charlene, you've got to look at that YouTube. You just have to look at it. It was Yom Kippur, probably something we wouldn't normally do on Yom Kippur, but we did it that year. And we looked at it and went, oh my goodness, you know, it sounds like they're finding what we have found. Well, everybody, it was Torah to the tribes. We had been introduced to Matthew Nolan through a Jim Staley teaching with him. I think it was in 2013 or 2012 or something like that. But I hadn't followed Matthew Nolan and Torah to the Tribes. I didn't know it existed, but that was our introduction to the T4 ministry. And we found out in short order that they were following the Enoch calendar. We made arrangements to talk to Jeremy Leduc, who was the one that taught Torah to the Tribes, the Enoch information, the Enoch calendar. Eventually, we ended up having a chance to meet them the next year and share with Matthew Nolan. And you know what? He asked, I had 2 studies, and he asked me what we had to present. Tim was not able to come at that point in time. I said I had a full calendar study for a day start, month start, year start, and I had the Joshua study. That's the one he chose, was the Joshua study, and that was the turning point. That's why we say the Joshua study is very, very powerful if people will just take the time to look at it. But it was that very day, and Satan was at work again. That very day that we were supposed to meet with Matthew Nolan at dinner, there was Richard and myself and Danon and two people from his fellowship. That very day, his wife lost her brother. So it was a very sad day. We didn't even know if he would show up. And I was just thinking, you know what? Satan, you're just always busy, aren't you? So, but Yahuwah worked it out so that we could meet with him and give him the Joshua study under those circumstances. You know, the enemy must have had a plan to stop or discourage this message, and I'm here to tell you today that he still has the same plan to stop this message, because he knows it. He knows it better than you and I do. But it was Yahuwah's plan to move his message to the next step. And we know there's a lot of people that are on different other calendars, and they are fighting against covenant calendar tooth and nail. They are finding all kinds of things wrong with it. And I just got another email this morning from a Lunar Sabbath person. And I just had to say, you know what, they just plain don't know what we have found. We know what they know, but they do not know what we know. And to get people to look at it, well, they have to make a choice. Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love Yahuwah, to them that are called according to his purpose. And there is another amazing discovery that was about to happen after all of that. Turning point number 4, it was huge. Discovering this Melchizedek priesthood message. It was between September to December of 2015. We went through that 7-part series with Matthew Nolan. I think he had taught it before, but that was the first time that we saw it. And we began to discover that that was definitely a cornerstone teaching. I had never heard anything like it. I knew that that was a turning point. That was another turning point that changed our lives completely. And trust me, this is a cornerstone for Covenant Calendar. Very, very important. And you all probably have made part of that journey as well. Well, anyway, we are going to come up to turning point number 5, which happened to be the last week of December 2015. But first, Tim has some other things to share.
Yeah, about this time we had 35 plus dawn day studies ready. And sunset was ruled out completely, absolutely. Joshua's study was a king study, and it was debunking many counterfeit errors. And that was only at the beginning, you know. We had done so much after that. It's incredible with Joshua. Just a phenomenal series. And some studies going out from the sharing of the controlled reading group. And yeah, it seems slow at the very first. But I'm sure glad that, Charlene, that you insisted on that controlled reading group. I thought it was kind of strange myself. I just kind of foreign ID to me, but I let you run with it. I'm sure glad you did. It worked out very, very well. They'd send us back things and say, well, no, you need to tweak it here. You need to change it here. And the wording's not good here. And this text verse is wrong. You got a wrong number. And, you know, little things like that. So it was just an absolutely fabulous plan. And we know that the month is only 30 days long. In the flood account, we were looking through that pretty carefully. And from the study of Exodus 3, 5, 8, 12, 14, 15, and 16. What an incredible book that one is. The calendar in there is just a real, it's a gold mine for calendar. It's absolutely fabulous. And all the dates for Moses' Passover and the events of the quail manna were charted perfect for 1 and 2 months. We were working on the 3rd month. It was coming. And this was Yahuwah's calendar for the first 2,550 years of creation. And the proof of the calendar dating for Exodus 19 to 20, Shavuot, at this time was worked out about 98% of it. We're just working on the last few days there, and I was struggling with it, and I couldn't quite get it. There were many bunny trails to contend with, and we realized when the Melchizedek order came through, we realized that it is the inspired authority for this study of the Exodus from Egypt. And it was just a phenomenal study. It really opened up to us those last few days. The pieces fell together like dominoes. It just made a beautiful, beautiful study. And so we were super thankful to hear that Melchizedek priesthood study.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And what we were doing with these Word document studies, and they're for the dawn day, and we have lots of them. I think there's 35 or 40 of them. But anyway, we were building charts. We found that the calendar study was very visual, and it needed to have charts to track the forward progressive movement. And then we were thinking, well, you know, the resistance to this dawn day is pretty strong. So I said to Tim, maybe you better build some sunset charts, just to kind of show people what's going on here. Tim, do you want to tell them what happened when you were trying to build those sunset charts?
Did you ever take confusion, rearrange it so it's completely intelligible so that you can show that it's confusion? Have you ever tried that? I remember both Charlene and we'd get on the phone and just shake our heads at each other, well, verbally. And, you know, when you try and take confusion and you try to explain it to somebody on an intelligible level so that you can prove that it's confusing, it's very frustrating. And then, but it did help with the charts. When you got the charts and you laid out the charts, there was arrows all over the place and things were going backwards and forwards and up and down, and it just made a real mess. And that word forward progressive movement, we used that quite a bit. That became a very important term because when we were using the dawn studies, everything had forward progressive movement, and that is opposed to kaleidoscope movement.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a Bible hermeneutic. Well, there is a turning point number 5, like I said, in the last week of December 2015. So let's see what happens next. This priesthood study is absolutely amazing. We just had no idea that this would be linked so tight to the calendar study. At that time when we saw it, we didn't know, but it was the very last week of December when I decided that, you know what, I want to find those 10 trips that Moses made at Mount Sinai. We had heard that there was 10 encounters with Sinai. I thought there was 3. Some said there was 7. I couldn't even find 3. So I decided that last week of December 2015, I was going to find those 10 trips, and I was going to mark 2 Bibles, by the way, and got working. Richard was house sitting for his sister 6 hours away, so he wasn't home. He was gone about 10 or 12 days. But Danon, down in California, he was really interested, and so we did a lot by phone and whatnot. Wasn't really a lot of emailing back then because he didn't have email, but it wasn't very long till we realized that there was a lot of calendar language in Exodus 19. Well, my goodness, when I said, I think we can figure out where Shavuot is, where Pentecost is, I'd never been taught, none of my feast keepers ever taught me that you could find the date for Pentecost. Not one of them in all the years. Now, this is 2015, and we've been feast keepers since 2006. So this is about 9 years later, almost 10 years later. And so I quickly scratched out on a scrap piece of paper, and I knew that if I counted backwards 50, I could find the first fruits in Exodus 12 for Moses, because we had month 1 and month 2 with the quail and manna all worked out with 30-day months. Worked it backwards, and it worked. I counted forwards, and it was perfect. I just about fainted. Anyway, I let Tim know. I said, guess what I found? Oh, he says, well, look what I found, He had been working on it too. Well, long story short, that was a cornerstone. That was huge. A huge breakthrough. That's when we discovered that there's something going on with this priesthood teaching that we didn't really know about. And we were able to clarify to the date when Pentecost was. Yes, it was in the 3rd month. It's not like another 50 days later or anything. It was definitely in that 3rd month, and we knew the exact date. We also started to work with T4 around that time with phone calls and emails back and forth to let them know what we had been investigating for the past 6 years, and wanted to share with them just to see if there was something that we could say that we had in common. And this resulted in a very huge challenge to their Enoch calendar that they had been using. I'm not sure how many years they were using the Enoch calendar at that point in time, but like I said, in March 2016, it was 1 month before Passover, we were invited down to come and teach the basics of what we had found there was about 25 or 30 membership there and some of the leadership. And then after that, and a little bit more studying throughout 2016, it was promoted. The covenant calendar was promoted in 2017 to take the place of the Enoch calendar. So that was a really big announcement for us. We weren't expecting to hear that, but we thought, well, we must have something here worthwhile that we're working with. But there were many more turning points to come. And for the events of 2016, I'll just go through just a few of them, and then Tim can do the 2017 ones. Many were learning to switch over from that sunset. But you know what? Sunrise kind of was in there from the Enoch, and it took us about 1.5 years or so to switch people over from sunrise to dawn terminology, because we knew that, looking to the sunset was not a good thing. So looking to the sunrise was just about as bad, if not worse. So we said, no, this is the dawn light. That was when we just realized that the dawn twilight was really, really important. But by this time, calendar studies are now into the moon challenge big time. It was at the 26th dawn Passover. We already said we had 30 to 35 people. They just loved the studies, and they started to realize how important the word evening Erev was, when we had all been taught that the day begins with evening. Well, now they know it doesn't. It was really, really fun to share with them. We had a very interesting discovery about wave sheaf and Shavuot timing at that 2016 Passover. And it was because of the international dateline. And I'm glad that we had this experience. On our 16-plus hour trip to attend this feast, was texting back and forth to Africa the whole time, because what had happened was that we had our Passover, I believe that year was on a Sabbath, so the very next day was Wave Sheaf, according to Joshua. But because the international dateline changed the date for the people in South Africa, they actually had their Passover on the first day of the week, which delayed their Wave Sheaf a whole week after us. And everybody just thought there was something wrong, but we know the answer to that now. And we haven't really done a study on that. Maybe someday we should. But anyway, we got that all figured out eventually. And then at Sukkot 2016, we were ready to present the moon, first leg of the moon studies. It was grueling. Danon had shared those moon study PDFs that Tim had found on his lightning-struck computer with a friend, a feast friend there in the northern part of California. And she didn't like them one little bit, and all it was just scriptures. That's all it was. It wasn't a study paper, but she didn't like it. She sent a page and a half of rebuttal. And I do want to say, this is the first time somebody ever sent a rebuttal. I read it and I didn't have a clue. This was in January of 2016. I didn't have a clue how to answer that. But I did pick up on the study between May to September and had the first leg of the moon studies. Once that was done, there was questions for our feast teachers. I began to wonder, how come our feast teachers do not know this information? Because if we can find it, surely they could have found it. So we began to question some of the other things that they were teaching and some of the things that we had learned from them. And like I said, we had Brad Scott there, and we had a special prayer for a voice to share these teachings. The people that attended that particular piece, they just said, we have to get this out. Like, we didn't have a website. Nobody could get in touch with us hardly unless they knew the email. And they just said, we need to have a voice. And so we started praying for a voice. We didn't know how to build a website, right, Tim? We didn't have a clue. We didn't have time. And somebody had suggested that we need to get on Facebook. It's like, we don't do Facebook. We don't have time. But anyway, we just said, you know what, Yahweh, it's all up to you. We're going to share a little bit on what happened next. We also found about this point in time when we had broken open the first leg of the moon studies that it is very difficult to share the covenant calendar with moon gazers if they do not understand the dawn day. And even after that, it's a little bit difficult. But we've had a lot of resistance since, well, all the way along. But we have found that those that are linked to a moon month or a lunar Sabbath or whatever is very, very difficult. So everyone, just keep these people in your prayers, because they just have blinders on right now. Tim, can you finish off 2017?
Sure. I'll start at the beginning of 2017. January. Matthew Nolan instructs on the exchange of calendars, starting from removing the former Enoch calendar. That raised a multitude of questions for us. We had quite an influx, and we were answering emails right, left, and center. And it was pretty interesting. It kept us on our toes. Those questions made us dig in, and we had to learn, because we didn't have as much answers as we probably should have at that time. So it was really, really good for us, actually. February 27.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen this study, I think it would be a very good one for you. Revelation 12 and Woman Standing on the Moon. It had a huge impact. It made a huge impression, and it woke up a lot of people, some good and some bad. So it was a good study. I quite like that study. I haven't looked at it for quite a while now, but it was a very timely one. Danon says, rocked my world. Yeah, it rocked a few people's world. Another discovery, lunation, connected to the Old English word Luke, which connects to Luciferian worship. I remember when Charlene brought that out, I just shook my head. Does it get any clearer than that? direct to the moon, direct to Luciferian worship. And just, you know, there's so many people that just, they refuse to look at the material. But if they looked at the material, their legs would shake. Sukkot 2017. It was the second leg of moon studies. And I got to say, Charlene told you about that rebuttal paper that come to her. And she was, I'm not saying she was going just rolling along, but when she got that rebuttal paper, she got hit in the head because she dug in. And let me tell you, when you confront Charlene, be prepared because you're going to get her. And what she came out with in a rebuttal against that rebuttal was just absolutely phenomenal. Incredible stuff. We did learn that moon worship takes priority over sun worship in the pagan gods and such. Very interesting topic. Yes, Baal was on top. And also the much deeper roots than sunset day start. Much deeper roots. Sad to say, but that's the way it is. And I left a message on YouTube here just last week, and I got an email from a leader of one of these people that's, well, they have a big group. I won't say the name. And I had talked to him about the moon, and I had left a message about reading Isaiah 1 and how that Yahuwah hates the moon. Well, I wouldn't even repeat what he said because it is so ridiculous, you know, trying to set aside Yahuwah's disgust for the moon, how he explained it. Just blinders on. That's what they are. They have blinders on, and we need to pray for these people. We really, really do, because the ones that will accept it, Yahuwah will remove the blinders for them. So it's our prayers that help this situation out. New understanding for genders on the light of the sun and the moon. Genders. This is an interesting topic. We got ridiculed big time just last week for this. Who says the moon is of masculine, and who says that the sun is feminine, and who says that the light is a feminine? And if there is a vav in front of the word for light, you'd see a vav in front of or, and who says that a vav has to connect the genders? Well, this guy thought it was absolutely ludicrous, the most craziest thing he's ever seen in his life. What is he? He is a lunar Sabbatarian. So obviously he would think that this gender linking together is just absolutely insane. Why? Because it proves his whole system of worship dead set wrong and evil. Sad that he wouldn't pay attention to it, but the seed was out there. The moon does not qualify as one of the great lights of creation. The moon does not have light. You can even go back to the Hebrew language in the letters, and it proves it solidly. You can look up in the sky and it proves it. You can look up and see the sky in the daytime, and the moon does not fulfill Genesis 1. The moon does not separate the light from the night. It actually quite enjoys the light. We see it up there quite often in the middle of the daytime, and it is a beautiful unit. It really is. I like the moon too. I have a telescope. I get out there and I like to look at it once in a while. It's good. Moon months do not work for revelation timelines. Why? Because you cannot in a lunar year, and on a bunny trail here, you cannot find a Hebrew word that describes a lunar year. I do not believe it exists, at least not a biblical one. But the moon months give you the wrong number of days for the revelation timelines. You cannot get 1,260 days, 3.5 years, or 42 months. Not with a lunar year. It does not work. So what happens when those timelines are not fulfilled? Nobody lives. That's how serious it is. Do we want to live in a moon month? No, thanks. I'll take the Shana year right from Genesis 1. Questions on the possibility of this calendar being a special Melchizedek calendar. A search is made. Yes, absolutely a search is made. this is just a great study digging in, and a surprise discovery of all the basic components for the calendar are right there between Genesis 1:1 and Exodus 24:11. Yes, that is the very reason why we call it the blood ratified covenant calendar, because every base component for the calendar is found in those first two books. Where else would we find it if Yahuwah instructed it?
So it was time for Yahuwah's special calendar to have a name, right, Tim? Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. As this calendar began to grow and have life, it went through many name changes. We didn't know what to call it. We were just kind of bopping along with what sounded good. And never once did we use the term lunisolar. So that was a good thing. The first two choices served their purpose. That was biblical calendar and scriptural calendar, because that's what they were. Yes, we couldn't deny that. They served their purpose quite well. And when we picked it up, we realized that the moon month was not in charge of the year start, thus lending to a solar year start. So we called it solar calendar for a while. But that didn't last too long, because we found out in the Melchizedek order that the message in there was a solar term that was attached to the Enoch calendars. So yes, this name was removed quite quickly. Solar calendar did not last long. That had to be gone. The fourth and final name of this calendar is unique and perfect, as this covenant calendar is found between Genesis 1:1 and Exodus 24:11. Why? Why covenant calendar? Well, that comes directly from the Melchizedek covenant, the Melchizedek order. When we found this covenant there by the Melchizedek, the covenant name just fell into place. Bang, landed on our lap, and it is the blood ratified covenant calendar. That was the nugget from Yahuwah. That was the 2011 to 2012 was the time frame for the development of both the Melchizedek priesthood message and the new dawn day studies, and they were independently done. But it was a good time frame. Yes, we were digging in. We spent many hours. For myself, I know if I was awake and if I was not working, I was studying, I was searching. So it was very rewarding. It was lonely for a long time, but then other people caught on and were interested, and they were digging in too. So we had other people to go with us. Here's a verse I'd like to read to you, and I think Danon probably knows this verse because he kept reminding us of this over and over and over and over. Thank you, Danon. I appreciate it. What does it say? Psalms 90, verse 12. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto what? Unto wisdom. What is the numbering do? What effect does the numbering have? We count our days to the feasts of Yahuwah. And by counting, that is how we find his feasts, his Moedim. That's how we come into covenant with him, and we can receive his blessings, not the adversary.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And I just want to say a little bit here about the calendar name, Tim. Please, everyone, remember, this is a blood-ratified covenant calendar from Yahuwah. I just had in an email today, I don't agree with Charlene's calendar. It's not my calendar. It's not Tim's calendar. We never claimed to have a calendar. We just are showing what we have found. We hear this quite a bit. It is, we don't want to have our names attached to it. It is Yahuwah's calendar. But anyway, there is turning point number 6. And this one is where covenant calendar is given a voice, and it's the number 1 voice. Well, upon distributing study materials over the years, we started out with Word documents, just ordinary Word study papers in between 2011 and 2016. And then we heard the complaints, oh, we don't want to look at Word documents. We want to have PowerPoints. It's like, okay. So we started building PowerPoints between 2016 and 2017. Then the next thing that I heard was people want to visit our website. Well, we don't have a website. We don't have any skills. Plus, we don't have any time to develop and research how to do that. We're just barely learning how to use our computers to build PowerPoints. No, we don't have a website. You guys are just going to have to figure it out. We'll email it to you. No website. Well, then the next thing after the PowerPoints was, no, we don't want PowerPoints. I remember so distinctly talking to a gentleman that I've known since 2006. He said, Charlene, we want videos. At that time, it was really popular to be looking at videos, you know, not reading a Word document. He said, why can't you guys do videos? Everybody's doing videos. Oh, it's okay. You know what? So now we're doing videos, you know. And guess what? Now Covenant Calendar has Facebooks, not just one. We're going to find out about that. That happened in 2019 to 2020 that we know of. And then the next thing we heard was, oh, the videos are too long. We need to have shorter videos. And we need to have these PowerPoint studies in much, much shorter videos. It's like, well, okay, go to it. And guess what I just heard not too long ago? We need to have books. I just said, you know what, you guys, would you make up your mind? You know, we started out with Word documents. We started out with printing papers. Like, I don't know, but every different way that you can present the calendar study is a learning tool for many different kinds of learning abilities. So whether it's in a Word document or a PowerPoint or a video, if it's on Facebook or whatever, you know, use what works, right? But right now we don't have time to write a book. But I know that that request is going to be coming. But there was an observation. We found that the need is very great to accommodate many different learning abilities, personalities, and cultures. And you know what? There's always never enough time. So we were wondering, has Yahuwah been taking note of our needs? Has he been checking on the seriousness of this research commitment? And how are we ever going to get to the end of it? Like, is he watching what's going on? Well, if so, the question is, will Yahuwah take care of the urgent needs to further his blood-ratified covenant calendar studies? Like, we wanted to know, like, if this is supposed to go forward, if this is something that he wants the whole world to know about, well, he has to help us out. You know, we don't have enough time to do it. And at this point, it's still just kind of a Charlene and Tim and team. But anyway, Covenant Calendar does stand tall and true, and it's because Yahuwah is behind it. What happened between October to December 2017 about these voices that we needed for calendar? Well, we did have a voice number 2 that came along in October 2017. I've already told you about Tertia in South Africa. She said she needs to write a book on how the dawn truth is not a theory, but sunset is a theory. And I just finished another edit. I think we've done about 25 or 50 edits. But it's been quite a project. And then another voice came up, also in South Africa, from a pastor who has been a Sabbath keeper, and he is also writing a book and waiting for me to edit on the Dawn Day witnesses in the Bible. He has this has been since November 2017. He's following Tertia. They don't live close together, but they are both very, very convicted that the people in their country need to hear this message. He has said to me, and we've had Zooms with him, he said, I will never ever preach another sermon on Sabbath sunset beginning the Sabbath day. November 25, 17 is a really big turning point. That was the day in that year that we accepted a very special invitation from Torah to the Tribes on their Shabbat Zoom for an introduction to Covenant Calendar. I had a phone study with Mario. I think the week before it was about a 2 or 3 hour phone study, and we did the Exodus 12, 16, and 19, 20 study, you know, that journey from Passover to Mount Sinai, and he just loved it. So he invited us to come and give this study at the Shabbat Zoom, and we had about 50 to 60 people, and because it was in the morning, we had quite a few people from Denmark and Sweden and different places like that. And we discovered very, very quickly that a lot of the people did not understand the calendar that was put forth in January of 2017. They didn't understand why there was a switch, what happened to Enoch. They really did have a lot of questions, and that was kind of a surprise for me. I didn't know. But I'm just wondering, Tim, can you tell us about voice number 4 that happened on December 7, 17? Or maybe I'm going to have to do it because I'm the one that took the phone call. Just a minute. Matthew Nolan called me, and he was so happy with the response that came out of that November 25th meeting, that he said it was just fantastic. I said, you know what? The people don't understand covenant calendar. I said, it sure would be nice if we could have a covenant calendar club or just something like that on a Zoom just to help these people understand. And he said, okay, you got it. He said, there you go. You're going to start on January 12th, 2018. It was just like that fast. It was just short and sweet and to the point. And I went, oh my goodness, what just happened here? You know, that voice we were praying for way back there, just a year before at Sukkot 2016 with Brad Scott when he left. I went, oh my goodness, Yahweh's given us a voice. You know what? He does answer prayers. Not always right away, but he knows exactly when the right time is. So we got started to make preparations for those great big plans in January of 2018 on the 12th. That was a Friday evening. There was something interesting that happened on December 31 of 2017 and also January 1 of 2018. 2 Enoch YouTube presentations were released with the intent to dislodge covenant calendar and redeem Enoch's count back into the camp. I'm pretty sure that was what that was all about. Looked at the studies, it's like there wasn't any Bible hermeneutics. There wasn't really anything there to support. We had already discovered that this was a blood-ratified covenant calendar with all of the foundations of this calendar being found right in Genesis 1 to Exodus 24:11, and we knew that there was no way that the Enoch calendar could fit those strict requirements and come under that kind of scrutiny. But in January to February 2018, these voices began to sing, and Yahuwah has handpicked many others to further important calendar truths. Another lady wrote me, it was actually January 4th, a letter from that November meeting. Her name was Jerry. She was from Alberta, and she shared a study on how the barley is not considered fine flour. Well, we needed to know that because remember, we'd been doing those Joshua studies, and I just went, wow, that study was done by Ave Ben Mordecai. It was not done by us. And after I read it, I thought to myself, how come our feast keepers have not figured this out? Because it's not a hard study. It was very interesting that Mordecai did say in his study paper that he didn't want to cause a calendar controversy over what he had discovered. And I'm thinking, well, what else can it do? That's the only thing it can do. So I don't know what the barley people, but he's a well-respected man for his studies. I don't know, but we sure know that what he found is right. On January 12th, 18, yes, it was the very first Covenant Calendar Zoom meeting. And guess what, everyone? We had about 20 people. We were so happy. Yes, the Shabbat Zoom had about 50 or 60, but that was because of the time of day that it was being recorded. But I'm here to tell you that as of March 20th this year, we had an attendance between Friday and Sabbath, those 2 platforms for the Zoom calendar, of 115. So calendar has really, really grown. Just a little bit of an update. Covenant Calendar is recording registrations. This was from March 20th. 449 people were registered. That was May 10th of 2019. By January 2nd of 2020, 536 people have registered. And as of March 26th, there was 574 subscribers. And Mario sent this little box to me on March the 26th. If you can read it, it says an audience, a current audience. I'm not sure I understand what's written here, but this is what it says. This audience has 716 contacts, and 574 of them are subscribers. I went, wow, there are things happening. Lots of things happening. Well, everyone, these are some of the first pictures of Zooming with Covenant Calendar Club. And when you look at these pictures, and if you see yourself there, yes, you have been with us right from the very beginning. We found on the very next week of January 19th in 2018, it was our second Zoom teaching. And already that the students were realizing that Yahuwah gave those twilights as a safeguard so that his children would not have to look to the sun for day start. That was picked up very quickly. I believe it was Mario that told us that. He said, wow, that is so neat. Yah has just made a provision there so that we don't even have to chance it, because guess what? The twilights are usually long enough, okay? You can usually tell the day has started before the sun rises. On January 24th, 2018, we were beginning to understand qualifiers for covenant calendar learning. We were learning that there had to be special qualifiers in the verses to tell us what the context was doing and what the content is all about, and we were watching for that. We were learning to read between the lines, and we were getting ready to connect these puzzle pieces. So this is just some memories from our very first Zooming classes that we had, and wonderful, wonderful discussions. In February 2018, there was also several other feast camps that were being challenged by Dawn Day members. And there was a Gary in Indiana that shared a calendar thought. It was from Noah's flood account. We had a Zoom with him, and he was just feeling that there was something in that one flood account from the second month of the second year on the 27th day. He said, I have a feeling this is connecting to something. I don't know what it is. And I just made a really quick little calculation there, and we found out that that date of Noah's flood account actually linked to Yahusha's 40th Omer count, and only on his calendar of the year that he died. That was a really big tip for us. Then we began to wonder, what about those other 10 calendar tips in the Noah flood account? Maybe they link up to the Passion events and the Passion ministry, so we're going to be discovering if there's anything in there when we ever get to that study. The very first Covenant Calendar YouTube website, I don't know if Mario is still here. Can anybody tell me if Mario is still on the panel? He might have left. Okay, I will do it. I will do it for him. This is a website that Mario put together.
Oh, hi.
Is he there?
Yeah, I just sent you a document with some current stuff.
He sent you a document with some current stuff, he's saying?
On subscribers and stuff.
On subscribers.
Oh, you know what? I guess I didn't get it on time, but Tamara or Mario, can you just take time to spend about a minute or so and just explain to us the journey that you had in bringing up this YouTube website for the Covenant Calendar? It would be fun to hear from you.
Well, all I can say is that I was blown away from the very beginning. When I got a hold of Daystart and then the Shanae year. The Shanae year kind of hit on that for me. I mean, I know different people were moved by different parts at different times. I really appreciate that Shanae year. And if we go there in Exodus 12:1, and it says, this will be the beginning of year and months to you. Well, it's a no-brainer that the beginning of the year is the first day of the month. You know, and so that made total sense. And then you click on new or months, it goes to new month, or Rosh Chodesh, and the word for moon is not even in there. If they just do one more click, it'll say moon. You know, it'll say, I'm not thinking of the word for moon at the moment. What is it?
Yerach.
You're
Yeah. Yerach. Right. And our first assignment when we went into the land was to take out Yerach City. And I told them, we're going to get busy. Let's take out Yerach. Anybody that we know is on some other, calendar that uses Yerach. Well, we need to, bless them with the truth. And from a lot of my background, being from the church, when they came out, they didn't even know there was any calendar. And that Messianic group, of course, everything was based on the calendar. And of course, Aviv means spring. When you look at that definition, it says when the green is in the air. Well, that's a picture of a spring. So this all began to really, change my life. I didn't want to be known for any of these. I didn't want to recognize for any of these videos. So I did a Gmail account and opened up a servant, and I didn't even know how to start a YouTube video. But please open that door, and all these videos are uploaded on the studyofthecalendar.com. I'm really blessed by that. And so I'm just glad to be a part of it. I'm glad Yahuwah has called each and every one of us to be a part of the body that it extends and shares His truth. And His truth is there is a blood ratified covenant calendar.
Amen. So
Absolutely.
as of today, there's 480 subscribers to this channel, and you can see on each video the average views is running around 200 for each video. And I can say that Mario spends a lot of time editing them and making them presentable for everybody, and it just truly has been a blessing for.
If it wasn't for those cool thumbnails that Charlene makes, it might be so catchy.
We appreciate all that you
Thank
do,
you.
Mario and Tamara. We appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely.
Yahuwah.
It's been such a blessing. January 2018, right out of the gate. And look at this verse, Deuteronomy 29:29. We've got to read it. Right at the top. The secret things belong unto Yahuwah, our Elohim. But those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the works of this law. It's just like so true. And don't forget, Yahuwah also says that it is the glory of Yahuwah to reveal a thing, and it's our honor to search it out. And so that's what Covenant Calendar is about, searching it out. So we just love the participation of others that are now joining the team. And Mario, you've done a splendid work. We all appreciate it so much. But the question is, does Yahuwah have plans for other types of websites? Well, he sure did, because the second Covenant Calendar YouTube website was Turning Point number 8. This came about to be in about April 2018. It was around March the 25th of 2018 that Fozzie over in France emailed us, or it was March 30th. It was at the end of March anyway. And I don't even remember how he found the studies. But he said, is there any chance that I can translate these studies into French? And we said, well, of course. We were just so delighted. That's another voice, right? And so he got too busy, and he just cranked them out just incredibly fast. I don't even know how he did it. And he started sharing on Zoom like very, very quickly. 24 studies were launched to his website in 2018. They are also on the Covenant Calendar website. 55 studies in 2019 for his Zoom sessions, and in the first year he had 5 families except Dawn. He was actually working with a head rabbi. I don't know how that turned out. He was sharing the Dawn day with a head rabbi there. Well, I'm going to have to ask him, Tim, how that turned out. But he's done a fantastic work over there in France, and the word is getting out. It's just absolutely wonderful. Well, but the question is, what other plans does Yahuwah have? Is there something more than that? I'm going to start off the first half of this page, and then we'll have Tim finish up. There is a voice number 6. It was around May the 16th. And it was when we met a family by the name of Connors, and they have been on Covenant Calendar Club from Australia. Met him through Walter Shopey, and when they found out that Sunset was not in charge of the day, they happily switched away, and they got off of that moon calendar like right away. This couple are incredible. They are retired, and they are sending out regularly studies all over Australia to about 12 to 15 different families that I know of. It could be more by now, but they are just teaching just a little bit at a time. And they are building charts with special cards that they lay out on the table. They've got their day season and their night season. They've got their Boker Twilight and their Rev Twilight, and they're taking the Bible stories and they're building their Bible story with their cards. They say they sit there and play with their cards on the table, and they send out these study cards as well. There is another voice number 7, in 2018, May 26th. Another brother in South Africa, his name is Clyde. He gave a live YouTube for the Dawn Day. It was actually at Shavuot that year. Live, nobody knew what he was going to talk about. They asked him to take the Sabbath service, and he did, and everybody was shocked. He has written quite a few books and materials, and he loves the calendar. I don't know if he's totally on board. He's a very busy man, but he definitely loves the day start. Voice number 8 was June the 10th. And this is when I found out from Walter Shopey that Germany took the first moon study and they put it into a book. They published 5,000 books on the moon study. And as soon as the books came off the press, 3,000 of them were mailed out the same day. And they do monthly publications in German, of course, for the German folk. And Walter is very, very much involved with those editing publications when it comes to calendar. Walter has done so much work in getting calendar studies into German for the German folk, and we don't have all of them up on the website, just haven't had time yet at this point, but he has done a tremendous amount of work, and he's done a lot of it in English as well. He's just done so much for us. So we really appreciate the work of the people in Germany and South Africa and Australia. This is going out. There's many voices that Yahuwah has raised up. But Yahuwah knew that we needed a website, to spread the word. So Tim, can you fill us in on the rest?
Yes, I think we all know who we're talking about. The one and only Neil. Neil, we appreciate everything that you do. You've been absolutely incredible for Covenant Calendar, for the work to move the message forward for Yahuwah. What a blessing you have been, Neil. Neil's from Australia. He saw a need for the Covenant Calendar website. When he presented it to Covenant Calendar Club 4 days before Sukkot, it was completely finished. The website was launched on June 11. And this, Neil, you know, how can I say enough? We ask you little requests just about all the time. Little things. Some things are not little things. Some things are big things, and you faithfully get them done, Neil. Wow, thank you so much. Your dedication is absolutely incredible. May Yahuwah bless you for all that you have done. June 12th, many French and German calendar studies in the PowerPoint are uploaded. This is one of my dreams, is to have these studies go out in different languages. I'm hoping to get some Spanish up there someday. It hasn't come along yet, but we're sure praying for it. Update. In less than 20 months, the website activity has been very good, considering this topic is a very narrow and well-defined study. Yes, there's not a lot of people that are just looking for calendar. So we appreciate the people that are on here and that are digging in. As of January 2020, the total page reviews are 23,540. Our best month was 2,928. The best week was 845, and the best day was 244. These are people that could not have been reached without the website. And a new website has been launched with a clean, crisp look. Neil, are you available? Are you on this panel today?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, Tim.
would you like to talk to us about this website? We would appreciate some input from you.
Yeah, sure. If I could just take a minute just to sort of talk about my journey coming into this as well. So for me, I was a Sunday churchgoer, and I started looking at dietary and things like that, and basically realised that the laws and Yah's word was applicable today, and not just the New Testament, but the whole Scripture. And so when I started asking questions about this in the church, it was kind of, as most people would understand, the church wasn't very happy about it, and said, it's all nailed to the cross, and we're living by grace and all that kind of stuff. So over a period of time, I ended up having to look at not being a Sunday churchgoer and actually coming into Sabbath. And so my issue was I didn't know of any Sabbath keepers apart from 7-day Adventists. I went there once, I think, and just realised that the spirit it wasn't right. And so I was trying to find a place that I could go to that I could fellowship with. And I came across, I'd seen Torah to the Tribes through that connection. I saw this Covenant Calendar Club, and it was on the Sabbath for me. So 8:30 in the morning on the Sabbath. So it was a place that I could fellowship on Sabbath, and that's what led me into the truth of Covenant Calendar. So the getting kicked out of the church and leaving the church was the entrance into fellowship with you guys on my Sabbath, because I'm in Australia. I understand it's your Friday night, but it's my Sabbath. So that's kind of how I came in. And then when Charlene and Tim sort of talked about websites, that's something that I've always sort of done a bit for friends and businesses that I know. So I started this, the Covenant Calendar. Yeah, sorry. I'll just there for a second. Had a phone call come in. Sorry. With this, started building the site. The sort of progressed a bit. The platform that I originally started on getting it affected, and so that's why I sort of felt that use a newer WordPress platform. So yeah, like it's not for me. It's easy. I understand how to do it. It's easy to do. But yeah, the real work, I guess, is in Tim and Hindu preparing all the PowerPoints, PDFs, and putting the time into the recording of videos. Putting them on the platform for me, putting them on the website is quite a simple process because I understand how to do it. When Charlene and Tim ask for something to be done, it's quite, for me, it's the time difference probably helps because obviously while they're sleeping, I'm able to get it done, and they wake up and they think I've done it just immediately. So the time zone change helps it because they go to bed, they can do late at night their time, and in the morning it's done. But they've been asleep while I've been working. So praise Yah that His word is across the nation, and the web. It's great to see. Like actually, it's probably when I look at the heat map of where people are spreading. This website's got the same sort of spread as coronavirus. It's reaching the world. It's reaching the globe. It's affecting everybody's life. So I'm just glad that I can be part of that. And yeah, if you look at this stats, this makes me smile because it looks like a smile. Now the peaks on this are obviously around the feast, particularly around sort of the beginning of the year and Passover when people start looking for calendar. And so that's really quite cool. And we've also done, the other thing I've done is throughout the year we've had some generous donations, and I've used those to help do some Google AdWords and things like that as well. And I kind of try and time that around when people would be looking for calendar-related stuff. So things like keywords like Jewish calendar and things like that, and we try to get some traffic into the site where they might actually have not thought about it, because people on the panel here are receiving the information, but it's more, for me, it's like, how do we get people that aren't involved to see it? And so how do we bring them in? And that's kind of the focus with the new site as well, is to try and make it have something in there that allows people to the bride being the first video on there, to try and get people to see that and connect. So thank you very much for the opportunity, Tim and Charlene, to be part of what Yah is doing. It is his covenant calendar, blood ratified, and I'm just blessed to be part of helping that get out to the nations.
Absolutely. You've been such a blessing to us too. Tim, can you just share the note here on this website page with everybody?
Approximately 400 to 500 emails have been answered, along with the multitudes of phone calls and Zoom meetings to answer calendar questions. Yahuwah's people recognize the ring of truth when they hear it. Most sense a great degree of happiness, peace, and specialness to know this message. Yes, we get messages quite often of people that just absolutely love it. They recognize the truth of it as soon as they do some reading on it and see the points that all line up. They're just thrilled with it. And I just praise Yahuwah for everything that has been put out there. And I hope it goes far and wide.
Mhm. It is. It is already starting to do that. So when we started out with the Zoom meetings there in 2018, we knew that we had to set the foundation for the covenant calendar first. We knew that if we just jumped into some of the really big questions that people wouldn't be prepared for the answers. So it was between January and June of 2018 that we spent a lot of time laying down the foundation for Yahuwah's calendar. And this was through the word evening or rev for that day start. And we also did a little bit of foundation for the year start. That was where the Revelation 12 woman on the moon came in. And then the removal of any moon authority through that Revelation 12 study was really a catcher for a lot of people. And we could tell that the excitement was building with the Covenant Calendar Club members. They were waiting in anticipation, and they wanted to know about that moon. I just remember they wanted to know about that moon so bad it wasn't even funny. We had also told them that the Joshua study was very, very special. It was really a kingpin study for all of the calendar, and but we made them wait for that. So we've done quite a bit with Joshua since then. But from June to December, excuse me, we did the third and the final leg of the moon studies in a 10-part series, and that expanded to Yahusha's ministry and who really was responsible for taking away the key of knowledge that enables Yahuwah's people to be in a full restoration with him. So we found through the moon study that we got a really good glimpse of who was really responsible for taking away the keys of knowledge, at least for calendar. In 2019, Tim gave the year Shanae study, and it was kind of cute because I said, you know what, I'm done with the moon. I think 10 PowerPoints is enough, like I'm just done. And Tim said, yeah, I think so, Charlene, like we're just done with the moon. That's it, that's enough, right? And he went on to do these 2 year Shanae, part 1 and part 2. And guess what? If you've seen them, you know there's a whole bunch of moon in there. And I just thought that was kind of funny. Yes, the year is definitely going to boot out that moon month for sure, that moon year start. But anyway, the year Shanae studies were sort of a crowning king point for the moon studies. Tim, can you finish off with the rest of this slide?
The enemy knows the moon series would remove his malicious hold on Yahuwah's people. Every study was incredibly challenged with a high degree of spiritual attack and increased efforts to halt these messages. Yes, you name it, the challenges come to Charlene and I, to Mario, to get these messages out. You know, from lightning on computers to papers that are totally lost, to messages that are totally lost, to things that distract you, things that are necessary, that are important, that you cannot set aside. And these challenges just come and they go, they come and they go. It's persistent. We know who challenges these studies, we know, but we also know who has the higher power and who is in control ultimately, and who is going to get these messages out. Yahuwah oversees to make sure his plan comes to fruition. Do remember, the moon's ordinances from Yah are important, and we need to know what they are, because the moon does have ordinances. We're not trying to remove any power and authority from the moon. We just would like to see them placed exactly where the scriptures claim that they are.
Mm-hmm. exactly. And with these moon studies, I already told you that, you know, I lost my mom through leukemia. I really believe that Satan was trying to split us up to stop the studies altogether, and he almost did. But when it came to this third leg of the moon studies, the spiritual warfare that went on every single time, whether it was a lightning storm or whatever, most of it though this time was with my dad. He was 97, 98 that year, and 16-hour drive from me, and it seemed like every time there was something going on with Dad. Guess what, everybody? Since I finished the moon studies, my dad's just fine. So I know we were under a big attack. And Satan, he just tried to get me always on the road traveling so that none of this could go forward. But Yah has the upper arm. Well, there is another milestone for Covenant Calendar, and Tim's going to continue on for us.
July 2018. More evidence on the light of the moon as it is, but reflected feminine light from the sun. The moon does not have its own light. It's just not there. And the or, that word for light, it is also feminine. So when you have a vav in front of that word or, it must be connected to something else that's feminine. And that is most certainly not the moon, because the moon is masculine. So when it says that the moon shall not give her light, that word her means it's pointing directly to the light of the sun. The moon is not going to reflect the light of the sun in those two verses in the scripture. The moon does not have light. The moon is disqualified as one of two great lights in Genesis 1:14 to 16. The moon is not mentioned, not for about 1,500 years later. Also, the moon does not have the ability to divide the night or the light from the night. It simply has, it's just not qualified. It is very deficient in that area because it was not designed to do that. And yet I got an email today that, oh yes, the moon is in Genesis 1:14. Well, I have to answer that email. And I got lots of ammunition against it because that moon is nowhere near Genesis 1. Why is this so important? Most people that follow the moon calendar really believe the moon is one of the great lights from Creation Week and that it has its own light. Well, when you're taught that from a child, or even when you're just searching it out and you don't know any better, when you're taught that, you trust your teachers. Note that those words, you trust your teachers. So what I'm trying to say is, please do not trust anyone. That includes Charlene and I. Take us to task. Take our words to task. Dig in. And if you can prove us wrong, that's great, because then we will change what we write. Ask questions. Prove it by the Torah, please. That's where it needs to go. Put it on the chopping block, split it open, look at the heart. If it doesn't have Torah in the heart, then it's not worth the chopping block.
Absolutely. So those were some gender concepts that we learned there in 2018 that really were markers and changed a lot of things. But you know, in the summer of 2018, there was trouble brewing. Have you heard the saying, the walls have ears? And they let us know when trouble is brewing in other feast camps due to the covenant calendar teachings lingering among others. And this was exactly what was happening. There were people in other feast camps that we have been associated with that were hearing bits and pieces about covenant calendar, and they were taking it to their feast leaders, and oh my goodness, did we get into trouble. And you know, that's just like the enemy. He just wants to stop you every bit of the way. If he can waste your time on endless phone calls and emails and who knows what all, he will do it. Just to stop you and your research and your study and your building of PowerPoints. We've been through it all. But we decided, at least I did, that it was time to fast and pray. And I did start fasting and praying for a whole solid year, 2 days a week, to see what to do with these accusers. Haven't had an answer yet, but I know Yah is watching over all. But what was Yahuwah really doing? Was he sowing seeds in those feast camps? I kind of think so. I think we're going to see a harvest one day, and maybe we don't have to wait too much longer. Yeah. It was in September 2018 that Yahuwah started to provide for us a lot of historical quotes to support the dawn day, even though we didn't really know that they existed, and we know that they're not really needed. We know very much so that you can prove all of this from Torah very easily, and of course from the whole scriptures and the gospel account. But to have the historical support, people were asking for that, and that study was well received. In the fall of 2018, remember the Connors down in Australia? Guess what? They were the first ones that we know about that from Covenant Calendar Club that set their hearts to building a sundial to track the equinox in their area. And they were taking accurate readings and sharing information. And that's what started the ball rolling for looking at the shadow and the equinox. We also had another interesting turning stone. Our first Covenant Calendar member asked if they could teach. This was Newton from India, and he wanted to present a PowerPoint on the spring Tekufa that eliminates the year using the equilux. This was something from a spin-off from the equilux teaching that had been done, and he was the very first one to step up to the plate and say, I want to do a teaching. And we just thought that was great. We just want to have all of the Covenant Calendar members be able to step up to the plate and say, I have something to share. Tim, you're going to share with us this slide.
Does that look like a leap of faith? It sure does to me. I know I wouldn't want to be doing that. Covenant Calendar moves forward with gusto. Observation. Back in 2013, there were about 6 well-known festal calendars. But that all changed by 2018 when there was an absolute explosion of feast calendars. Leaders were trying to protect their calendars and their members from stepping away into other ministries that seemed to have a better calendar. Yet neither leaders nor members knew how to settle the problem. Few had proper studies with spiritual verification or scriptural verification, for their calendar beliefs. Yes, I've seen a lot of material where it's a lot of hearsay and very few scriptural texts. And when there is scriptural texts, they have a very difficult time getting linkage between them because there is no linkage between them on most calendars. The year of 2019 was a new beginning for Covenant Calendar. Yes, it was a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more, Tim. And then we're going to have Tabitha, maybe Becky or Tabitha. I don't think that they're here tonight, but I'll give their part next after you get done.
2019, the year Shanae the year Shanae. These studies finish off the challenge of the moon month and related calendars. And that word Shanae, when you understand the full meaning of it and the depth of that word, it is just absolutely phenomenal. I strongly recommend everyone to look at those 2 studies even a couple times to understand the absolute depth of that word Shanae. That word eliminates every other calendar out there right from Genesis 1:14, and that's what I call the starting gate. There's nothing else that can do it that good. Shanae, it's from Yahuwah. February 2019, lots of enthusiasm and energy joins Covenant Calendar with a team of ladies that are happy to hear of a feast calendar based completely upon scripture only. Yes, scripture only. And yes, I was asked that several times. And they were very happy to hear that we only deal with the scripture. That's where our sole source of authority comes from. We welcome Tabitha, Becky, Daisy, and Beth, all of them with incredible joy at finally finding a feast calendar that seems right from the first introduction, and they are determined to study. We welcome them greatly.
Absolutely. And Tabitha and Becky didn't waste any time. They went to a great big feast conference in February of 2019, and they were determined to hand out business cards to everybody to give an awareness of Covenant Calendar Club. They met with many many top speakers, Rob Skiba, and oh my goodness, I can't even remember all the names anymore, but huge names around the world for calendar and whatnot. And they were planting seeds and sharing with many people. They didn't always get to talk to the men speakers, but they did talk to their wives, and they were pretty sure the wives were going to share something with their husbands. And there was other news as well. Many are now questioning their barley and festal moon calendars, especially the lunar Sabbath ones. This was also happening in early 2019. And these ladies knew many hundreds of people that were on these other calendars. They've been Feastkeeper for many years, and they have a wide audience of friends, feast friends and whatnot from these festivals. And so they've been sharing quite a bit. So we're waiting for the blessings of that. Anyway, website and Facebook pages, they start to pop up everywhere. This is what was happening just a year after we started. I don't think Walter Shopey is here tonight. I'm going to continue on. If he is, he could just pop in. Anyway, the fourth Covenant Calendar website in 2019, and I'm saying this is turning point number 11, was from Walter Shopey. Everybody that attends Covenant Calendar Friday and Sabbath really does know Walter quite a bit. He's done so much work in German and in English. He just never gives up. He loves his work. He said nothing has given him so much joy as to be able to teach others. He has an amazing website, and it's been launched with many wonderful studies, like I said, in both German and English, and he has a lot of calendar studies too. He's done a lot of translation for us, and he said if you really want to learn Covenant Calendar, translate it into another language. He has many visitors and many wonderful responses that come from his website. He can't always answer all the questions. He's, still needs a little bit of help, but he is a worker for Yahuwah that just never ever tires, and we all love Walter Shopey. I think Ron and Marlise are here tonight to tell us about their Covenant Calendar website. I think it was launched in 2020, and this is the 5th website that we know about. Can you open your mics if you're here?
Yeah, we sure can. Hey, Marlise. Hello. We've had a blog for about 2016. Some mutual friends of Charlene and I were kind of feeding Marlise a little bit on the Dawn Day a little bit, and we would get notes here and there, and then the mutual friend's wife kind of slid some more stuff to us and then one day we just ran into the website, the stuff on YouTube, and started digging, and then Marlise got her little happy fingers going and started digging even more, and man, what a wild ride. Abba has a sense of humor. I fought this, because you see everybody else around you, and they're blowing a shofar at the crescent, or they're seeing a full moon, and wow. Now I feel like an outcast, but you know what? I feel this is the best calendar, the only calendar, the only calendar.
Yeah.
And there is so much more to dig into. But I want to say this, Tim and Charlene, Abba bless you both.
Oh, yeah.
Really. The efforts that y'all put into this, the energy and strength and the wisdom and knowledge to be able to want to get in there and to find the secret things that he reveals to us, to be able to walk upright before him. Wow. And Mario for the work that he does with recording these videos, and wow, man, I'm still floored. And we have fruit of the site and everything that's being put out with people that's on the panel tonight. It's just amazing. What do you have to say? And I want to honor Marlise. Goodness gracious, you guys were honoring your wives and your spouses last week. And Marlise will sit here and she'll bang a study out on Shabbat, and she'll type everything up in PDFs. I mean, she's like a machine. She really calm.
Yes, when we embraced Covenant Calendar, I took it to our blog. I created a page, and I started to to the PDFs that you put out. I would put them onto articles, and I would clip your PowerPoint slides and add them in. And we make all those articles downloadable for anybody anywhere in the world. And we have a contact page, and I think I emailed you, was it yesterday or this morning? I can't remember, both you and Tim, about people coming on board and the reactions we're getting. And a lady from Manchester in the UK, about 2 or 3 days ago, we had a phone call with her because she discovered our blog. And Shane, Paula is she's totally floored by what she's read, and she wants to come on board. And she's an older woman, but it was lovely to speak to her. And you guys, your hearts and your characters, Charlene and Tim, it's like a cool stream that flows over to each and every one of us that get in contact with you. It doesn't matter how. And you have no idea the impact your hard work makes on us. You have no idea, but I know you see the people come. And it brings us to tears sometimes when people just out of nowhere contact us. It doesn't matter what time of day or night it is. We're willing to listen, we're willing to share, and just to watch these people embrace this. Abba is the perfect painter of this canvas, I promise you. This is awesome. Well done, you guys.
Thank you so much. And anybody that visits this website, you are going to be so blessed. It is beautiful. You should see how many areas they have for the truth of the priesthood, the worship statues, Yahuwah's covenant calendar. They've covered all of the bases. And you know what? All I can say is those that are willing, Yahuwah has a work for them. And what we have seen consistently is that he chooses the cream of the crop. That's why we're seeing such beautiful work coming from those around us. It's not just us anymore. It's many, many people. And so we welcome you to this family so much. This is a turning point number 12, this beautiful website. I think maybe Carol and Martin are here. I hope that they're still here if they can open their mics, because this is another website. It is coming soon. I'm saying it's number 6, and it's called The Rocks Are Crying Out. For us, this is turning point number 3. And for many of you, you know who Martin and Carol Disher are. Are they with us tonight?
Yes, we are. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Yes.
Great. Yes. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining, and thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk about our mission and our outreach that we're putting together. It is a work in progress, and you know, I met Carol 5 or 6 years ago, and I had prayed and prayed for a person that was just you know, in the Word and that would be a godly person. And he answered my prayer. He gave me someone that totally changed my life, showed me so many things that were wrong in what I believed. And, you know, Carol has a knack at just turning a conversation around into something that is beautiful. And she can point out and, you know, show people truths that are in the Bible in every conversation. And I just am amazed at how she knows these things and has learned them over her life. And what she did when we were, you know, beginning to learn, and what I've been doing is helping her grow with this. And, you know, she asked me, how can we get people, you know, to know these things? And there's many things, you know, it's not just calendar, although you guys are doing an awesome job and you're pointing out very specific things. There are so many falsehoods that are out there. What we try to do is to put together a resource, okay? And this resource is about the truth. And you can see right in the middle, it's all about the truth. It's all about what's in the Bible. It's about pointing out the apostasies that are in the church, that are in just everything about people's lives. And the reason that it's about the rocks are crying out is when I was just a young child, I always, you know, thought about the verses in the Bible that talked about that, where the Pharisees were saying, teacher, teacher, rebuke them. And Jesus said, or Yeshua said, the rocks would cry out if they didn't do this, right? Well, guess what computers are made of? They're mineral. Well, we're on a computer right now. We're listening to people around the world. People are listening to what you're talking about. The rocks are crying out. The miracle has happened in our lifetime. And, there are so many things about how there are just people in the world that are putting together these truths, and they have their own means of doing that. Well, what we've done is we've searched for that. We've looked for all of these different options of people, what specific thing that they have preached about. And we put our business card together. So when we do talk to people, if we ask them, go to this site, and we're going to do this, we're not completely ready yet, but we're working on it, to put these rocks, you guys are rocks. Well, there's a lot of rocks crying out. So because we've done some searching and we put this together, we want to be able to have a way to share that with people and to give it to them so that they can go to one location and find a lot of truth. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Carol to say what she's done.
Well, so we created the Seeking Truth at rocksarcryingout.com, and then we also are working on a YouTube channel, True Witness / 3 Angels Messages, Revelation 14:6-12. And then what we want to do basically is show in a simple way, which, it's never simple, but what is the everlasting gospel? What is it? And so we show and we'll offer some prophecies and some Bible studies, signs of the times, proving that we're in the last days, characteristics of the bride, and that will bring in the covenant calendar, and, what it means to know the Father, because, that's the main thing, is that we want to know the Father and we want to be walking in covenant. And then exposing the works of darkness, showing all of the characteristics of the false doctrines, like, the wrong baptism and the wrong Sabbath and the wrong this and the wrong that, And so, with, we really want to grow, and we certainly welcome any helpers that want to help, and we'll be probably doing the iron, sharpening the iron, getting advice from our leaders here. And so we're just very happy to do this because, and we ordered like 1,000 business cards, so we got to get it done so we can, because every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, I need to give them a card, So anyway, we're just happy to have met everyone in Covenant Calendar. It's been about 14 months or so now, and we met them through a Passover last year, and in a home, and so that's our story.
Thank you so much. And Yahuwah knows how many other websites are being launched around the world, and he's going to use all of them for his purpose. So we're really happy that you're on board and you're excited. This is from Daisy and Frank. Is Daisy and Frank here with us tonight? There's 2 slides for Daisy if she's here. And I don't know if Becky is here. Becky Collins.
Hi, Charlene, I'm here.
Hi, Daisy. Thank you for staying with us. I have 2 slides for you. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about the Facebook pages. I don't think Becky's here, but you're well involved with Becky. You work together with her.
Yeah, Becky and I, we launched a Facebook page together called Noble Librarians. And essentially, it gets some traffic. Yeah, essentially, we just post conversation and charts. Becky's done a really good job of putting up a lot of charts up there that, can just help people navigate some of the questions and some of the issues that come up with the calendar. So that's basically it.
Okay, and this here one with the moon, that was one that Becky did. This pretty chart here in purples and mauves, Daisy did that. If you have a chance to go to that Facebook page, you're going to love that chart. And then this is a little bit about what their Facebook page looks like. And for those of you that heard Daisy's presentation on Tekufa here a couple of weeks ago, look everyone, these are very recent posts. So they're keeping this website really updated, Facebook page really updated very well. Another chart from Daisy. There's just lots of resources here. Daisy, is that all? That's all you have right now? I guess so.
Yeah, we
Thank you
I
so
try
much.
to focus.
We love working with Daisy. She's just a great lady, and there's a great team. We did mention Tabitha and Becky and Daisy and Beth, and they're just wonderful ladies. Okay, I don't know if we have Lisa or Stacy here tonight. If Lisa or Stacy are here, this is another Covenant Calendar Facebook page. The original invitation went out March 14th in 2019. It was from Covenant Calendar Club. I think maybe they said they couldn't be here tonight. But anyway, this is turning point number 15. And as you can see, this is when it went out. I still had this. It went out March 14th, 2019. Can you see that, everybody? 2 members. 2 members right there. Got it at 12:07 p.m. Okay, and the subject was Vin Thomas invited you to join Tour to the Tribes Covenant Calendar Group. So this is a Facebook page. Remember we said, everybody said you need to be on Facebook, but Tim and I don't do Facebook, so we don't know how to do this, right? We don't have time. But Facebook pages are coming out everywhere. So here's an update for February 2020. A Facebook team of about 10 Covenant Calendar Club members formed to work together to answer frequently asked questions and posting shorter study papers to new inquirers about Covenant Calendar. And they have also stepped up to the plate, and they've done many of the presentations for Covenant Calendar Club on Friday evening and Sabbath mornings. They've just been a great group to work with. I just got this brand new information from Lisa just before we started tonight. There's an update from today. She said they now have 568 members. Okay, I think that's quite a nice jump for just 13 months. And she said they have about 5 new members that join every week. They are very careful about their Facebook page. It's Covenant Calendar. It's not for arguing and for dating or debating or debunking. They are trying to help people understand what Covenant Calendar is all about. And there's many that are coming to the Facebook page. They don't always get to the calendar studies on a weekly basis. But this is also something interesting that has happened. We did tell you that when we started out with the Dawn Day, that there really wasn't anything on the web at all. Well, that has all changed. Since 2010 to 2020, in the last 10 years, there is a lot of material on the internet now. Yes, there is a lot of debunking of the Dawn Day or the Sunrise Day. You can bet it's out there, but there's a lot of good information for the Dawn Day as well. This was video that we watched on May 3rd in 2019. All of the contact information was here at the beginning and at the end of this YouTube. I was amazed because most of these, you cannot contact these people. If they say something wrong, there's no way to get a hold of them to help share with them maybe some things that they have missed. But because of this contact information, I actually called Chris, and it was on around the 3rd, and I talked to him. He is an assistant pastor to David Carrico. Some of you might know David Carrico. He's a speaker with John Pounders at Now You See TV, and they are holding to an Enoch calendar. However, Chris is not in the box. He's out of the box. He found the Dawn Day somewhere, and he was studying it. Now, although David Carrico with an Enoch calendar is doing sunrise, he wasn't too upset about Chris doing a PowerPoint or a video on the dawn day, but he did a very, very good job. It was a very good presentation. I had a very nice conversation with him about the rest of Covenant Calendar, and he said he was going to search it out. And he said it doesn't matter what David Carrico thinks, he does his own thing. He thinks for himself. He studies for himself, because we know that the Enoch calendar is a very strong counterfeit calendar right now. You know, there are so many video studies that are popping up all over the place, and they are exposing the sunset theory. This message is going to get out. Some still use the term sunrise instead of the dawn twilight, but you know what? Eventually they're going to find out what the truth is. So it's just a little tiny switch. But the thing is, does Yahuwah have plans to expose the dawn day to the world first? Like, what is he actually planning to do? We've been all trying to figure it out. So Covenant Calendar is going to begin to travel. Tim, can you give us a little bit more now on Passover 2019?
Yes, a new feast camp in Kelowna, BC called Friends of Yah asked us to come and share with the group why we are keeping different feast dates. All of these people were friends from 10 years ago, hearing about calendar studies for many years. They were very excited about learning how simple and beautiful Yahuwah's covenant calendar was. And so we went over there and we had an absolutely fabulous feast with them and made new friends also. It's been very, very great. Hopefully the things expand and keep going from that area.
Yes, exactly. They're wonderful people. And I just put a map up there so you can see. Kelowna is down here by this little blue dot. I live up here with the pink, and Tim is over here in the purple. We're all far apart, but guess what? With Covenant Calendar, we're all connected. It's just really neat. Such a wonderful family. We have also seen covenant restorations. Ever since 2016, it has been very evident that the priesthood message together with Covenant Calendar is a restorative message. And we have lots of testimonies from Kelowna that we can't even share with you. There's no time. But within Covenant Calendar Club, we've had 2 new marriages, and Rory and Linda were the first couple that were restored into marriage. Very, very happy. And guess what? Tim and Jeanette as well in 2017. Both of these marriages were in 2017. We've seen broken marriages restored. We've seen children restored to their parents through the Covenant Calendar studies. We've seen friendships restored. And best of all, we've seen restoration to Yahuwah. And when I get emails all the time of restoration, and I hear it on the telephone as well, and I just am so happy, because these people are very, very happy that they're seeing restoration in their lives. Well, there has to be restoration of some understanding as well. And this term, between the evenings, was definitely one of them. It was very difficult to break open. We started working on that way back in 2013, and come to find out that this particular term is a cornerstone for Covenant Calendar. And as I said, it was an early discovery, and as hard as it was to believe, we discovered very early on that evening is a cornerstone to Yahuwah's Covenant Calendar, not just to the day start. And this might seem strange when it is morning light that begins each new day, because evening is not the same as morning light. But that Hebrew word Erev happens to have 2 primitive roots that are going to unlock such an interesting concept between this phrase. We're calling it between the mixings and not the evenings. But I just wonder if Tim can remember what happened with this quail study way back. I think it was about 2013 when we started to break open that quail study. I'm pretty sure it was the spring.
Exodus 16, the phrase between the evenings came to our attention with the quail before the Exodus 12 Passover chapter, and it was not until August 2019 that we received the full understanding through much more research, and now we know. There's also another area too that between the evenings showed us how the daily sacrifice timing has been changed by those that are promoting the lunar calendar, because the lunar calendar made a very bad mess of that phrase, between the evenings or between the mixtures. It destroyed the statute of eating the sacrifices, the times when they were supposed to be eaten. So those had to be changed to accommodate their lunar calendar. So this phrase, between the mixtures, is an incredibly important phrase. We really, it really made a huge impact on covenant calendar.
So that was number one. We had to have a restoration of understanding. These are just some of the high points, but there's a number two restoration of understanding too, Tim, right? With this Enoch count.
Yes, exposing Enoch's count. 2016 to 2019. Since 2018, counterfeit calendars abound everywhere. Currently, it appears that the Dead Sea Scroll calendars could be the closest counterfeit to the covenant calendar, and yet they are still miles apart. There are huge, massive, insurmountable problems with Enoch. The Joshua calendar study easily exposes the darkness of Enoch and other cousin calendars. Joshua is so brilliantly clear on the problems of Enoch. It is absolutely astounding. September 2019 update. Pastors of recent moon calendar feast camps and many other similar people seem to make a transition from moon month calendars to Enoch calendars. Well, it's a step. It really is. They have only a few more steps to take to arrive at covenant calendar. The traditions need to be removed. The deceptions need to be removed. Just like the layers of an onion, step by step, they will come off if they are searching Yahuwah, if they are searching truth, because Yahuwah has promised, if we are searching, if we are doing our due diligence, if we are digging, we will arrive at truth. He's promised us that.
That's so wonderful. And so we've seen this transition over the last couple years of how people are moving around in calendars, because there's such a calendar explosion out there, and there's a lot of confusion. But we have seen that people that come off a lunar calendar, whether it's lunar Sabbath or just a lunar month, a lot of them do seem to stop at Enoch for a while before maybe even the last stop will be covenant calendar. So we have seen that happening. There are some more covenant calendar high points from September to November of 2019. And I think Dr. Janetta Wood is here tonight. She said she would be here. If she could open her mic and just give us a little glimpse into what she has found. And if she's not, I'll go ahead. Maybe she'll be with us in the morning. Anyway, I met her, and she's a very wonderful lady. She's got some Jewish background, but has been walking in the Sunday Sabbath,
Charlene?
Whatever.
Charlene.
Is she there?
I'm
Yes.
here. I'm here.
Oh,
right.
Good.
Yeah,
Good. Okay, this is your.
I'm excited.
It's your turn, Dr. Jetta.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm so excited to be with you tonight. I've been with you now for a couple months listening, and it's very, very exciting. I personally, I'm Dr. Janetta Woods, and I have a radio station that we're opening, and it's going to be 3 states that we're in, which is going to be Delaware. It's a tri-state. It's Delaware, New Jersey, and Philadelphia. We're going to be coming in an hour, and I would love for you guys to come on and be a part of that. I have a women's group, and the name of the women's group is Voices of Intercession. It's about 2,000 of us that comes on every morning at 5 o'clock. We've been here for the whole group is about 5,000, about 2 of us interchangeably are there every morning. We've been there since 2007.
Wow.
Wow.
Has been encouraging us. I have my doctorate in psychology. And so we do group therapy, ministry, and we have really been really praying so much. Been a lot of intercession. And we sometimes come on in the evening, but the total group is about 5,000 of us. And so we have conferences and different things like that. So I've really been listening very attentively. And I do have a Jewish background, trying to get back to my Jewish roots. And so I found this to be very intriguing and very exciting.
We're happy to have you, Dr. Woods, and we're going to be watching to see what's happening next, because you told me that you love what you're hearing and you're sharing with those that are following you, and I think there's going to be a really big harvest. We're just so excited about that. So we just love it when you join us. Thank you so much. I don't know if Manny is here tonight. But Manny from the United States, and I don't know if Annette is here. She's from Germany. We might see her in the morning. But if they're here, just open your mics and just come right in. But Manny, back in the Eastern United States, has said that he wanted to translate the studies into Spanish. And so did Annette in Germany. This was just maybe about about November, early December. She loves the Spanish language, and she said yes, she wants to as well. She's getting ready to start here pretty quick. We have always known that the covenant calendar studies needed to be not just in English, but in French, German, and Spanish. So we've just been waiting, and these two people just stepped up to the plate and said, we are willing to do something. So put them in your prayers, because they have a big job ahead of them. I just wanted to mention a little bit about Todd, our good friend Todd, that is following the priesthood and the covenant calendar studies. He's an inmate in a facility there in Colorado. His mother is Katie. She's probably here with us tonight like she usually is. But Todd has been doing a great work there in this facility among other inmates. It's taking a little bit of time, but he's got 2 or 3. They get moved around quite a bit. So the people that he's working with sometimes get moved around and they're not together anymore. But he calls me about once or twice a week, and he said, Charlene, I am totally committed to this message. I am not turning my back. I'm not taking my hand off the plow. I'm going to find every person in here that needs to hear this message. And it's slow going, so do remember him. He is reaching inmates there in that facility, and they're waiting to have a room open up so that they can worship on Sabbath and during the feast and festival times. So we're trying to work on that as well. I'm just hitting the high points of hundreds of people that we talk to. There is another group that is around Utah, Arizona border area, and Dawn Day has been searching them out. A lot of these people are Church of God people or Seventh-day Adventist people, but there is a very high interest in calendar, especially among the Church of God people. And I do want you to remember this group down there in Arizona in the Utah area. Dee and Vicki, they join us on a regular basis. I don't know if they're here tonight, but they have been so blessed. The restoration that has been going on in the camp, those that have picked up on the priesthood and the calendar, the blessings are incredible. I have asked Dee to keep a journal. It is absolutely amazing, the restoration that's happening there for finances, relationships, and you name it. There's just so much going on. And we found this as well, that an Enoch website actually posted a Covenant Calendar Club video on the year Shanae. It was part 1. When I found that, I just went, oh my, I could not believe it. But yes, indeed, I looked at it, and yes, indeed, it was all of part 1. So they found something in it, Tim, and they decided that they had to get it up on their website. I just thought that was really cool. Like, Yahuwah is going to do anything he needs to do to get this word out. And there's so many more things that could be shared, but my goodness, we're running out of time. We only have a few more slides left, so just hang in there with us. There is a growth in covenant calendar. We are seeing it happen. It's happening right before our very eyes. We never ever thought in September of 2012, when I said to Tim, and all we knew was the Dawn Day at that time, I said, this is going to go around the world. And broken and bruised, he said to me, "Oh, you really think so, Charlene?" Like, he says, nobody's accepting it. I said, yes, it is going to go. Guess what, everyone? We had to wait 7 years to actually see this take off, and we see it before our very eyes. You are all part of this groundwork. Yahuwah has found his people all over the world. They're in little pockets. We're all scattered. We're all by ourselves, but he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's going to have lights everywhere so that when the time comes, he's got the whole world covered. He knows what he's doing. So in this short presentation, we've been able to share with you some of the growth of Covenant Calendar right from the beginning, when this gem of truth was nearly discarded into the trash can. It just came so close. But Yahuwah knows all things, right, Tim? And I'm going to let you finish off the slide.
Yes, Yahuwah knows all things. We believe this final generation is the time when Yahuwah's covenant calendar must be restored for not only his bride, but for all those that want to be under his light burden, discarding the burdens of men and their traditions. Covenant calendar is ready for the next big step, and it's coming. It is, we are growing. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. This is just a dream come true in our hearts, and we've just dreamt about this for so long. But turning point number 16, this is where Covenant Calendar added another platform, and we wanted to reach that window of the United Kingdom, Europe, and Africa, especially South Africa. So it was December 6th of 2019 and all the way up to April 2020, right up to today, that a new Sabbath platform was placed out there to reach that window of the world that we just really can't reach with the Friday evening presentation. And do you know what happened in 15 weeks? The attendance has gone from 20 to over 55. It's just amazing what has happened by adding the second platform. And most of those people are new people from that other window. We have a few that come Friday night and on Sabbath morning, maybe 6 or 8, but most of them are a totally different group, and they're just wonderful. We have wonderful times with them. That's turning point number 16. But the question is, what will turning point number 17 bring to Covenant Calendar? We have some ideas. We're not ready to share it with you yet, but I can tell you, I think it's going to get really exciting. I just want to thank you and everybody here tonight, because all of you have been involved on this journey. You've been checking us out. You've been making sure that we're not pulling the wool over your eyes. We appreciate that. We need that. We need for you to be constantly checking us out. But as we finish up, we only have a slide or two left. We want you to know that when sharing Covenant Calendar, you need to be ready to reap the harvest or count the cost, because it's going to be one or the other. You need to be ready for questions from everywhere on everything. You need to be ready for arguments, ridicule, scorn, and mockery. And the accusations, they just don't stop coming. You need to be ready for shame. I had to go through a lot of that as well. You might have to endure loss of family and friends, loss of church attendance. You just don't fit in with your fellowship anymore. Loss of feast attendance. We've been kicked out and booted out. Thank goodness we have a place to go now. We just had a wonderful Passover on Zoom because we're all in lockdown. But we need to be prepared that we're just not going to be welcome to any feast that we want to attend. And you need to be ready for a loss of reputation and respect. And the list is endless. It just continues on. But if you press forward, you will have a blessing, and you will be a blessing. I just want to say that one day there's going to be no more room for accusations and arguments, because Yahusha's Passion account is going to have the last word. And Tim and I are just looking for time when we can actually finish that study. It's going to be huge, but we just ask you to hang in with us. Tim, can you finish up this slide and the last one that's coming?
From Arthur Schopenhauer, all truth passes through 3 stages. It is ridiculed, and we receive that on a regular basis. It is ridiculed, it's laughed at, it's put down, it's stomped on, and it is violently opposed. Yes, we get the violently opposing messages too. Absolutely. But when those violently opposing messages come, we know that there's a third one that attends them quite often. It is accepted as self-evident. And the people say, oh, well, yes, of course, we knew that all along. And yet they don't want us to remember the messages that we received previously. Luke 8:17-18. For nothing is secret that will not be revealed, nor anything hidden that will not be known and come to light. And I got to read that again. For nothing is secret that will not be revealed. And what I have found in these last couple days, including just minutes before this Zoom, is just, I am excited about calendar. Let me tell you, nothing will be hidden that will not be known, that will come to light. Therefore, take heed how you hear, for whoever has, to him more will be given. And whoever does not have, even what he seems to have, will be taken from him. Yes, when we do our due diligence, we will receive. Yahuwah has promised that to us. And for Covenant Calendar, it just keeps getting better and better. The information that keeps coming, people give us little ideas and we search them out. People come to us with great ideas, and we take them gladly and we expound on them. Remember, there are no valid comebacks to truth, only rejection formulated within lame excuses. Thank you for allowing us to share this journey of our Yah's Covenant Calendar. And, it's not our calendar. I'm so thankful you said that, Charlene. We used to get that. This is Tim and Jeanette's or Tim's and Charlene's calendar. No, it's not our calendar. This is Yahuwah's calendar. This is the Melchizedek blood-ratified covenant calendar. Where is it found? It's found in the Torah between Genesis 1 and Exodus 24:11. And it's been a great journey. And I need to thank Jeanette also for helping me with this. She has brought so many things to this for me too, and I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you that has joined us here tonight, and each and every one that are eager to move this message forward. May Yahuwah bless you in all that you do. And I need to thank Charlene and Richard for this too. Great work on Richard's part also, behind the scenes too. Thank you, Richard.
And that's the end of our journey. That's all you're going to get. And we hope that next time we do this, it's just going to include a whole bunch more people. That's just going to be one big family. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everyone, especially Tim and Charlene. It's true that we've all been on a journey. Abba's been drawing us onto himself. And here we are, like Charlene, the cream of the crop, consuming those that have the desire to get the truth out. And with all of what's been shared, I'm sure we can see our own faces in it. But I'd like to go ahead and open it up for any questions, answers, or comments. And we'll just let it run until everybody's tired or falling asleep. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario.
Yes.
This wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you for a fantastic night.
Thank you, Dr. Woods.
Charlene, this is Pastor Don.
It's
yes.
Brought it, right? Not any.
I want to thank you again for what you have done. I want to say that with my 2 strokes, I go to a lot of therapists and doctors. I was just at my occupational therapist, and in the process of talking, he said, "Are you ready for Easter?" I said, "Well, to be quite honest with you, I don't really worship that way anymore." And he said, "What do you mean?" And then he started asking me questions. And I said, "I don't want to come across as being somebody that is going to be divisive." "Oh, no," he said, "I want to know what you mean." and I was able to share with him, and I want to thank you and praise Yah for what he has done. Thank you.
Thank you for that testimony. What an opportunity you were given. That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Use every opportunity you have, because you never know that seed that you plant. It just might germinate into a harvest a couple years down the road. Yeah, just share it, because there's an awareness out there, even among the people, like even, Dana's sharing that 360-day brochure. There's an awareness that something's going on. And if people know that Yahuwah has a calendar, it's something, even in the outside world, people haven't really heard of that. And they might just listen just because they're interested, Thank you, Pastor Don. It's been so nice to have you with us.
Eric, you have your hand up.
Yes. I'm probably one of the